Remember the church basement pantry? 50 cheap foods lined those shelves between 1929 and 1939. Foods that cost pennies but fed entire congregations. These weren't groceries. They were faith-made edible.
I hope this batch is as good as last Sunday's.
Oh, it smells even better, Mrs. Walker. The children will love it.
Community disguised as casseroles. Today, we've forgotten what church ladies knew by instinct. Number 14 will make you understand why they called it survival with dignity. We're bringing them all back now. Walk into any church basement during the Depression and you'd find 50-pound sacks of navy beans stacked against the wall like sandbags against the flood of hunger. 10 cents bought 2 pounds that would feed 30 people at Wednesday night supper. But listen to what made navy beans miraculous for church ladies. They were socially acceptable. Rich families ate beans. Poor families ate beans. Serving beans at church meant nobody's poverty showed. That dignity was priceless when shame could kill a family's spirit. Every Tuesday, church ladies would sort beans together, fingers finding bad beans by touch, conversations flowing around shared work. Why Tuesday? Because Wednesday's supper started with Tuesday's preparation. That planning, that coordination separated churches that survived from churches that closed their doors. The mathematics was simple but profound. 10 cents for 2 pounds meant 2,400 individual beans that would swell to triple their size when cooked, creating massive quantities of protein-rich food. The storage required expertise. 50-pound sacks transferred to metal containers to prevent mice, stored in cool areas to prevent spoilage. Church ladies knew that overnight soaking was essential, that salt added too early would prevent softening, that proper preparation could turn 10 cents into a feast that fed 40 people substantial portions. Navy beans weren't just food. They were social camouflage, allowing people to accept help without shame. A 25-pound bag of flour cost 60 cents and sat in every church pantry closet like a cornerstone of civilization. Why flour before anything else? Because flour made bread, and bread was communion, was fellowship, was proof that the church still functioned. Church ladies would pool money to buy flour in bulk, sometimes 100 pounds at once. That bulk buying saved 5 cents per bag. 5 cents multiplied by 4 bags meant 20 cents that could buy eggs or sugar. That mathematics was how church ladies stretched $20 into feeding 100 people every week. The quality mattered more than modern bakers realize. Church ladies could tell by touch whether flour would make good bread or disappointing loaves. They used metal containers with tight lids, added bay leaves to deter insects, rotated stock to ensure freshness, hard wheat flour for bread, soft wheat for biscuits. They knew the difference because mistakes meant wasted money when 60 cents per bag was a significant investment. But flour represented more than cooking ingredient. Fresh bread said, "You are welcome here," in ways words couldn't express. The aroma of baking bread transformed charity kitchens into homes, proving that civilization and hospitality could survive even the darkest times. A 10-pound bag of sugar cost 50 cents and was kept locked in the church pantry. Locked. Not because of theft, but because sugar represented rationing even before rationing was official. Church ladies appointed a sugar keeper, usually the oldest, most trusted woman, who dispensed it by the cupful. That controlled distribution meant sugar lasted. And lasting mattered more than generosity when you didn't know when the next donation would come. The psychology was sophisticated resource management. They understood that scarcity created hoarding behavior, that unrestricted access led to waste. Sugar's uses extended beyond sweetening. It preserved fruits, fed yeast for bread, balanced acidity in tomato dishes, created caramelization that improved simple foods. The 10-pound bag represented optimal balance between economy and practicality. That bag would last 6 weeks with careful management, providing sweetening for dozens of meals. But sugar carried emotional weight beyond culinary use. Sweet foods represented celebration, comfort, childhood joy. Here's something modern church kitchens don't have: a 10-pound tin of lard sitting in the pantry. In the Depression, every church had two, cost 80 cents each. That lard fried chicken for fundraising dinners, made pie crusts for bake sales, greased every pan. But here's the secret. Church ladies knew lard could be reused. After frying, they'd strain it through cheesecloth, removing food particles, then store it for reuse. 1 tin of lard, properly managed, would last 2 months. Poverty plus knowledge created efficiency that would shame modern kitchens. Church ladies weren't using lard from ignorance. They used it because it performed better than expensive alternatives. The reuse system was meticulous. Strain while warm, store in covered containers, protect from light and air. Each batch could be reused 3 or 4 times before quality declined. Lard storage required understanding of temperature and chemistry. Too warm, and it became rancid quickly. Too cold, and it was difficult to work with. Church ladies stored lard in cool pantries, understanding that proper storage extended useful life from weeks to months. That 80-cent investment provided months of cooking capability when managed with Depression-era wisdom. A 50-pound sack of potatoes cost 75 cents and provided the foundation for a dozen church meals: mashed potatoes for Wednesday supper, fried potatoes for Saturday breakfast, potato salad for Sunday social. That versatility meant potatoes never went to waste. But what made potatoes valuable for church ladies? They were filling. Potatoes weren't just food, they were kindness you could serve with a spoon. Storage of 50-pound sacks required expertise modern consumers have forgotten. Potatoes needed cool temperatures, but not cold. Too cold converted starches to sugars. They needed darkness to prevent greening and solanine development. They needed ventilation to prevent moisture and rot. Church ladies created basement storage systems that kept potatoes fresh for months. Preparation was done in assembly lines, multiple women peeling together for efficiency. Even peelings weren't discarded. They were composted or sometimes cooked separately as emergency food. Potato water was saved for bread making, as it contained nutrients and improved texture. Nothing was wasted. 5 foods down, and you can already see the pattern. These weren't random choices. They were strategic foundations that every meal was built around. Navy beans for protein and dignity, flour for bread and hope, sugar for sweetness and celebration, lard for cooking and efficiency, potatoes for filling and kindness.
And I told him, "That's not a casserole, that's my hat."
Oh, Arthur, that is hilarious.
You simply must have some more pie later.
But foundation foods only work when you know the secrets of stretching them. The next 5 foods reveal how church ladies turned basic ingredients into meals that felt abundant, even when they weren't. A slab of salt pork cost 25 cents and flavored everything church ladies cooked. Why salt pork instead of bacon? Because salt pork lasted without refrigeration. It could sit in the church pantry for weeks, ready whenever needed. Church ladies would cut small pieces, just enough to flavor a pot of beans or a kettle of greens. 1 slab could flavor 15 meals if you were careful. And church ladies were always careful. That 25-cent slab represented the difference between beans that people would eat and beans that people would leave on their plates. The preservation method made it ideal for pantries lacking refrigeration. Heavy salt coating drew moisture from meat, creating environment hostile to bacteria. The technique required understanding of flavor extraction and fat rendering. Church ladies sliced salt pork thin, cooked it slowly to render fat while developing flavor. This maximized flavor impact while using minimal quantities of expensive meat. A crate of cabbage cost $1 and provided vegetables for 3 weeks. 25 heads of cabbage, bought in bulk from a farmer who needed cash more than he needed cabbage. Church ladies would store the crate in the cool church basement, taking heads as needed. But cabbage did something important for church ladies. It prevented scurvy. When fresh fruit was impossible and canned goods were expensive, cabbage provided vitamin C that kept congregations healthy. Preparation methods maximized both nutrition and appeal. Raw cabbage retained maximum vitamin C, making coleslaw valuable for preventing scurvy. Cooked cabbage became more digestible and could be flavored with available seasonings. A 5-pound box of powdered milk cost $1 and made 40 quarts. The mathematics worked for church budgets, but the taste? Children hated it, complained every time. Church ladies made it anyway, mixing it thicker than directions suggested, because thick milk felt more substantial. That powdered milk went into mashed potatoes, into biscuits, into puddings for Sunday school treats. It provided calcium and protein that depression diets lacked, so church ladies served it and ignored complaints, knowing that nutrition mattered more than preference. The reconstitution technique separated successful church cooks from unsuccessful ones. The powder had to be mixed with small amount of cold water first, creating smooth paste without lumps. Then additional water was added gradually, maintaining smooth consistency. Church ladies who mastered this technique created milk children would tolerate. Storage demanded protection from moisture and insects. 5-pound boxes were transferred to metal containers with tight-fitting lids immediately after opening. Moisture would cause powdered milk to clump and spoil, while insects could contaminate entire boxes. Proper storage extended useful life from months to years. A 10-pound container of oats cost 60 cents and provided breakfast for church gatherings, Saturday morning men's meetings, Sunday school teacher meetings, early morning prayer services. That oatmeal, cooked in water and served with a drizzle of sorghum, kept volunteers functional. But oats did something else. They provided slow-release energy that lasted. Church ladies who ate oatmeal at 7 a.m. could work until noon without collapsing. That endurance was essential when you were running a soup kitchen, organizing clothing drives, coordinating relief efforts, and managing your own failing household. The cooking technique for large quantities required understanding of ratios and timing that differed from individual servings. Church ladies used large pots and specific water-to-oats ratios that prevented scorching while ensuring even cooking. They stirred constantly during initial cooking, then reduced heat and covered to finish cooking. Storage required protection from moisture and pests. Oats were transferred to metal containers with tight lids, often with bay leaves to deter insects. Church ladies understood that oats could become rancid if exposed to heat and light, so containers were kept in cool, dark areas. A 10-pound bag of rice cost 35 cents and stretched meat further than anything else. One chicken mixed with rice fed 40 people. One ham bone simmered with rice made soup for 60. That stretching ability made rice essential for church budgets. But what made rice valuable? It was neutral. It worked with everything, savory or sweet, main dish or side. Rice adapted to whatever donations came in. And adaptation was survival when you never knew whether next week's donation would be vegetables or meat or nothing at all. The cooking methods required precision that separated successful church cooks from those who created sticky, unpalatable results. Rice needed specific water ratios. Too little, and it remained hard. Too much, and it became mushy. Church ladies developed techniques for cooking large quantities in heavy pots, understanding that even heat distribution was essential. Storage demanded protection from insects and rodents. Rice was transferred to metal containers immediately after purchase, with tight-fitting lids preventing pest infiltration. Sometimes diatomaceous earth or bay leaves were added to deter insects, understanding that prevention was easier than elimination once pests were established. You're seeing the pattern now. Church ladies didn't just buy food, they bought multiplication. Salt pork that flavored 15 meals, cabbage that prevented disease, rice that turned one chicken into 40 servings. But stretching food was only half the battle. The next 5 foods reveal how they created the illusion of abundance when abundance was impossible. A 10-pound bag of cornmeal cost 30 cents and sat in every church pantry. Why cornmeal? Because cornbread was expected. Southern churches wouldn't serve beans without cornbread. That cultural expectation meant cornmeal was non-negotiable. Church ladies would make cornbread in cast-iron skillets, serving it hot with lard if they had it, plain if they didn't. But here's what nobody mentions. Cornmeal also made communion wafers when wheat flour was too expensive. That spiritual utility elevated cornmeal beyond simple food. It became sacrament. The grinding affected both flavor and texture. Coarse ground cornmeal created rustic cornbread with substantial texture that felt filling. Fine ground produced smoother breads that resembled wheat products more closely. Church ladies knew which grind worked best for specific applications. Storage required protection from rancidity that developed when corn oils were exposed to heat and light. Cornmeal was stored in cool, dark places in tightly sealed containers. Church ladies could tell by smell when cornmeal was beginning to turn rancid, using older cornmeal first to prevent waste. A gallon jug of molasses cost $1 and provided sweetness cheaper than sugar. Church ladies drizzled it over oatmeal, over cornbread, over biscuits. But molasses did something sugar couldn't. It provided iron. Depression congregations were anemic from poor diets. Molasses helped. Not much, but some. And some was better than none when you were trying to keep 60 families functional. That dark, thick syrup also made treats. Molasses cookies became the dessert of church fundraisers, sold for 3 cents each to raise money for coal. Different grades were available at different prices. Light molasses was more expensive but milder. Dark molasses was cheaper but more intense. Blackstrap molasses was cheapest but nearly inedible straight. Church ladies learned to use different grades for different applications. Cooking could tolerate stronger flavors, while table use required milder varieties. Storage required understanding of temperature effects and crystallization prevention. Molasses stored in cool areas became thick and difficult to pour. Molasses stored in warm areas would ferment and spoil. Church ladies found optimal storage temperatures that kept molasses pourable while preventing spoilage. A large can of baking powder cost 20 cents and lasted 4 months. Why does this matter for church ladies? Because baking powder meant you could make quick breads during emergencies, when a family's house burned down, when someone died, when crisis required immediate response. Yeast bread required time, warmth, careful attention. Baking powder biscuits required mixing and baking, 15 minutes from pantry to plate. That speed meant church ladies could respond to emergencies without delay, and response time saved lives when delay meant families giving up hope. The chemistry required understanding that separated successful emergency baking from disappointing failures. Coffee was expensive, 50 cents a pound, but church ladies bought it anyway. Why spend money on coffee when people needed food? Because coffee was what you served during funerals, during crisis meetings, during long nights of coordinating relief efforts. Coffee represented civilization, hospitality, the maintenance of social rituals that kept communities from disintegrating. Church ladies knew that a cup of coffee, offered at the right moment, could convince a man not to abandon his family, could persuade a woman to keep fighting instead of giving up. That psychological value was worth 50 cents. the jar of saved bacon grease sitting beside every church kitchen stove. When someone donated bacon, rare luxury, church ladies saved every drop of grease. That grease became cooking fat for 2 weeks. It fried eggs for Saturday breakfast, seasoned green beans for Wednesday supper, greased baking pans for fundraiser cakes. One donation of bacon, properly saved, could flavor 40 meals. Nothing was wasted, not even the fat left in a pan. That jar of saved grease represented the church lady mentality. Everything has value, waste nothing, make every donation count. Church ladies weren't just cooking. They were stewarding resources that stood between their community and complete collapse. The collection process required immediate action while grease was still warm and liquid. That jar of bacon grease represents everything you need to understand about church ladies. They didn't just feed people, they transformed scraps into sustenance, waste into wealth. From cornbread that became communion to coffee that preserved civilization, these women understood that survival required more than calories. It required dignity, ritual, and hope. The next 15 foods reveal their mastery of strategic stockpiling. A case of canned tomatoes cost $1 for 24 cans, bought in bulk, stacked in the church basement. Those cans turned beans into something worth eating, turned rice into something that resembled real food. But canned tomatoes did something else. They provided vitamins when fresh food was impossible. Vitamin C prevented scurvy, prevented bleeding gums, kept families healthy enough to keep working. Church ladies understood that 4 cents per can was cheaper than medical bills that no one could pay. The strategic purchasing revealed sophisticated planning. Cases were bought during seasonal sales when canneries needed to move inventory quickly. Church ladies would coordinate purchases among multiple churches, pooling resources to achieve bulk pricing that individual congregations couldn't access alone. Pinto beans were cheaper than navy beans, 9 cents for 2 pounds. So why did church ladies keep both? Because variety mattered. Serving navy beans every week created monotony that killed appetite. Alternating between navy beans one week and pinto beans the next created the illusion of variety. That psychological difference meant people ate more, stayed longer, connected with each other, and connection was the point. The food was just the excuse. The cultivation relationships that church ladies developed with local farmers enabled direct purchases, eliminating middleman costs while supporting agricultural communities that were also struggling. These relationships created mutual support systems where farmers provided beans at reduced costs in exchange for guaranteed purchases. Preparation differences between bean varieties required knowledge that separated experienced church cooks from novices. A 50-pound bag of onions cost $1 and flavored everything church ladies cooked. But onions did more than flavor. They prevented illness. Onions contain compounds that boost immune function. Church ladies didn't know the biochemistry, but they knew that congregations eating onions regularly got sick less often. And sickness was dangerous when there was no money for doctors. That $1 bag of onions saved countless medical crises that would have bankrupted already struggling families. Storage required understanding of ventilation and moisture control. Onions were stored in mesh bags or ventilated crates that allowed air circulation while protecting from light. Church ladies learned to inspect onion supplies regularly, removing any that showed signs of rot before spoilage could spread. Preparation techniques for large quantities demanded efficient methods. Church ladies developed assembly line approaches to onion preparation, with multiple volunteers working together to peel, chop, and distribute onions for various dishes being prepared simultaneously. A gallon of vinegar cost 15 cents and had 100 uses. Cooking, cleaning, preserving, medicine. That multi-purpose value made it essential for church pantries. In cooking, vinegar brightened bland foods. In cleaning, it sanitized church kitchen surfaces when soap was expensive. In preserving, it made pickles that lasted all winter. 1 gallon, 15 cents, 100 uses. That return on investment was why church ladies always had vinegar. The cleaning applications enabled church kitchens to maintain sanitary conditions without expensive commercial cleaners. Vinegar solutions cleaned cutting boards, sanitized surfaces, and removed mineral deposits from cooking pots. Kitchen sanitation was essential for preventing foodborne illness in community meal programs. Preservation capabilities enabled church ladies to extend the useful life of vegetables that might otherwise spoil. Quick pickles could be made from cucumbers, cabbage, or other vegetables donated in quantities too large for immediate use. A 5-pound bag of dried apples cost 30 cents and provided fruit year-round. Church ladies would reconstitute the apples by soaking them in water, then use them in pies, in cobblers, in simple desserts. But dried apples had strategic value. They could be stored indefinitely. A donation of dried apples in June would still be good in December. That reliability meant church ladies could accept donations whenever offered, knowing nothing would spoil before it could be used. The reconstitution process required understanding of timing and liquid ratios that restored texture and flavor without creating mushy results. Church ladies learned to soak apples just long enough to restore moisture while maintaining structural integrity that would hold up during cooking. Storage advantages made them ideal for church pantries with limited storage space and uncertain usage patterns. Dried apples required no refrigeration, resisted pest damage, and maintained nutritional value for extended periods. Think you've seen everything? The shift from foundation to strategic stockpiling reveals the incredible depth of these women's planning. They understood bulk purchasing, seasonal buying, and the psychology of variety. From tomatoes that prevented scurvy to onions that prevented illness, every purchase was calculated for maximum impact. The next 10 foods show how they mastered the art of making little look like a lot. A 5-pound box of macaroni cost 25 cents, and children would actually eat it. That willingness to eat without complaint made macaroni worth every penny for church suppers. Boiled macaroni with tomatoes became one dish, with cheese if someone donated it, with butter if a farm family brought some. Macaroni adapted to whatever was available. That adaptability made it perfect for church kitchens where you never knew what donations would arrive. The cooking techniques for large quantities required understanding of water ratios, timing, and heat management that differed significantly from home cooking. Church ladies used large pots with specific water-to-pasta ratios that prevented sticking while ensuring even cooking. They learned to test doneness frequently, understanding that overcooked macaroni would become mushy and unappetizing. The psychological impact of serving foods that children would eat willingly cannot be overstated. Canned salmon was expensive, 30 cents a can, but church ladies bought it for special occasions. Christmas dinner, Easter lunch, homecoming Sunday. That salmon, mixed with crackers and eggs, made salmon cakes that felt festive. That ability to create special meals with canned goods meant church ladies could maintain traditions, could mark time with celebrations, could prove that poverty didn't erase every joy. The preparation techniques for salmon cakes required understanding of binding agents and seasoning that transformed canned fish into appealing meals. Church ladies learned to drain salmon carefully, removing bones and skin while preserving the meat. They developed recipes that stretched one can into multiple servings while maintaining satisfying texture and flavor. The cultural significance of salmon for special occasions connected congregations to traditions that predated the Depression, maintaining continuity with better times while acknowledging current limitations. These special meals provided psychological anchors that helped communities maintain hope and identity during crisis periods. Cheese was expensive, 25 cents a pound, but church ladies bought small amounts because cheese added protein that made simple foods satisfying. A half-pound of cheese, grated carefully, could flavor macaroni for 50 people. That half-pound, stretched properly, transformed cheap pasta into a meal people looked forward to. The key was stretching. Grate it fine, use it sparingly, make it last, make it count. A box of crackers cost 15 cents and saved meals when nothing else would work. Crackers with soup made soup substantial. Crackers crushed into crumbs became breading. Crackers as emergency food required no preparation. When crisis hit, house fire, sudden death, family emergency, church ladies could hand someone a box of crackers and jar of peanut butter. That instant food response saved families during the worst moments of their lives. The emergency preparedness aspect made them essential for church pantries that served as community crisis response centers. They could be distributed immediately to families facing sudden emergencies, providing immediate sustenance while longer-term solutions were arranged. The versatility extended beyond emergency use into regular meal preparation. Crushed crackers became breading for fried foods, thickening for soups, and binding agents for meat dishes. Whole crackers provided texture contrast in soft foods and served as vehicles for spreading limited quantities of more expensive ingredients. A large jar of peanut butter cost 35 cents and provided protein that meat couldn't match. One jar could make 70 sandwiches. That's half a cent per sandwich. The math worked, the nutrition worked. The fact that children would eat it, that made it essential. Peanut butter sandwiches became church ladies' emergency food. Someone shows up hungry? Peanut butter sandwich. Child hasn't eaten in days? Peanut butter sandwich. That jar represented immediate response capability. The nutritional profile made it valuable beyond its low cost per serving. Peanut butter provided protein, healthy fats, and calories in concentrated form that could sustain energy for extended periods. Church ladies understood that peanut butter could substitute for meat in children's diets, providing essential nutrients at fraction of meat's cost. The preparation simplicity made it perfect for crisis response when time and resources were limited. No cooking required, no special equipment needed. Just bread and peanut butter created complete meals that children would eat willingly. This simplicity was essential during emergencies when normal food preparation was impossible. Eggs were expensive, 40 cents a dozen, but church ladies bought them in cases of 10 dozen when farmers needed cash. $4 for 120 eggs. Those eggs went into everything. Scrambled for Saturday breakfast, hard-boiled for Sunday school treats, baked into cakes for fundraisers. But eggs represented something else. Connection to farms, to rural members who couldn't donate cash, but could donate eggs. That connection kept rural and town congregations united during times that drove wedges between economic groups. The storage system for large quantities required understanding of temperature control and handling techniques that prevented breakage and spoilage. Church ladies developed methods for storing eggs in cool church basements, using sawdust or other materials to cushion them while maintaining proper humidity levels. The barter relationships that developed around egg purchases created economic networks that supported both urban churches and rural farming communities. Farmers who couldn't afford cash donations could contribute eggs, while churches gained access to fresh protein at reduced costs. A case of canned corn cost 90 cents for 24 cans, less than 4 cents per can. Church ladies bought in bulk because corn was the vegetable children wouldn't fight about. That piece was worth bulk ordering. Corn mixed with other vegetables made them more acceptable. Remember those beans? Corn made them better. That ability to improve other foods made corn valuable beyond its own nutrition. The child psychology behind corn selection revealed sophisticated understanding of family dynamics during mealtimes. Children's resistance to vegetables could create conflicts that disrupted community meals and discouraged family participation. Corn's natural sweetness and familiar texture eliminated these battles, creating peaceful dining experiences. The flavor enhancement properties transformed other vegetables from tolerated necessities into acceptable foods. Corn's sweetness balanced the bitterness of greens. Its texture provided contrast to soft vegetables, and its color brightened monotonous plates. These improvements increased overall vegetable consumption across all age groups. Plain soda crackers cost 12 cents a box and were even cheaper when bought by the case. They went into soup, became breading, became emergency food. But soda crackers also settled upset stomachs. When hunger caused nausea, when stress caused digestive problems, church ladies would give soda crackers and weak tea. That medicinal use made them essential beyond their food value. The medicinal applications represented traditional knowledge that church ladies used to address common health problems when medical care was unaffordable. Crackers' bland flavor and absorbent properties made them ideal for settling upset stomachs and providing easily digestible calories during illness. The emergency food applications made them essential for church pantries that served as community crisis response centers. Crackers required no preparation, had long shelf life, and provided immediate sustenance during family emergencies when normal food preparation was impossible. A case of canned peas cost $1 for 24 cans. Church ladies bought cases because peas were the vegetable children would eat without complaint. That compliance avoided battles. Church kitchens didn't have energy for vegetable wars. Canned peas solved that problem. Small, sweet, easy to eat, everything about them was child-friendly. By 1935, canned peas were in every church pantry in America. The child acceptance factor eliminated mealtime conflicts that could disrupt community dining experiences and discourage family participation. Peas' small size, mild flavor, and natural sweetness appealed to children who might reject other vegetables, creating peaceful meals that encouraged continued attendance. The preparation simplicity made them ideal for church kitchens operating with volunteer labor and varying skill levels. Peas required minimal preparation, just heating and seasoning, making them accessible to any volunteer cook while ensuring consistent, acceptable results. Split peas cost 8 cents a pound and cooked faster than beans. That speed saved fuel, coal, or wood to heat church kitchen stoves. When you're counting pennies for heating, cook time matters. Split pea soup became a church supper staple because it was fast, cheap, filling. The peas would break down while cooking, creating thick soup that felt substantial. 1 pound of split peas made soup for 25 people. That efficiency was essential for church budgets. The fuel economy aspect revealed comprehensive cost analysis that church ladies performed when choosing ingredients. Cooking time directly translated to fuel costs, making faster cooking ingredients more economical despite potentially higher per-pound prices. This analysis extended beyond food costs to include operational expenses. The texture transformation during cooking created psychological satisfaction that was valuable beyond nutrition. The peas would break down and thicken soup naturally, creating substantial, filling meals that satisfied hunger more effectively than thin broths. This satisfaction encouraged continued participation in community meals. 30 foods down, and you're witnessing mathematical miracles. 70 sandwiches from 1 jar of peanut butter, 25 bowls of soup from 1 pound of split peas, 50 people fed with half a pound of cheese. These women weren't just cooking, They were performing multiplication with ingredients, turning scarcity into abundance through knowledge and determination. The next 15 foods, the lifesavers, reveal how they saved more than just money. A 3-pound can of shortening cost 40 cents and lasted 6 weeks in church kitchens. Shortening made biscuits, pie crusts, fried foods. It was cheaper than butter and lasted longer than lard. That economy made it essential, but shortening was also neutral flavored, meaning it worked in both sweet and savory applications. That versatility meant one can did everything church ladies needed. The storage advantages over other fats made it ideal for church pantries with inconsistent temperature control and long storage periods. Shortening remained stable at room temperature, didn't require refrigeration, and resisted rancidity better than animal fats. This stability made it reliable for churches that couldn't guarantee optimal storage conditions. The versatility enabled church ladies to create both everyday meals and special occasion foods with one ingredient. Shortening could fry chicken for fundraising dinners, make pie crusts for bake sales, and create biscuits for regular meals. This multi-purpose capability reduced the number of different ingredients needed in church pantries. A case of canned green beans cost 95 cents for 24 cans, 4 cents per can. Church ladies bought cases because green beans with bacon grease, remember that jar beside the stove, became a side dish people expected. Green beans in soup became vegetable soup. One case, multiple uses, predictable results. That reliability was gold when church budgets were unpredictable. The expectation management aspect revealed how church ladies used familiar foods to create comfort and predictability during uncertain times. Green beans prepared with saved bacon grease became traditional side dish that congregation members anticipated and appreciated, providing continuity with pre-depression meal patterns. The versatility enabled their use in multiple meal formats throughout the week. Plain green beans as side dishes, green beans in vegetable soup, green beans mixed with other vegetables in casseroles. This flexibility maximized the value of case purchases while providing variety in meal planning. Turnips cost half a cent per pound when bought in bulk from farmers clearing fields. Church ladies bought bushels, 100 pounds for 50 cents. Nobody liked turnips, but turnips grew in poor soil, stored for months, and provided vegetables when nothing else would. That reliability trumped preference. Children complained, adults tolerated them. Everyone ate them because the alternative was no vegetables at all. The agricultural reality behind turnip availability made them accessible when other vegetables were impossible. Turnips grew in poor soil conditions, required minimal cultivation, and could be harvested from fields that wouldn't support other crops. This made them available to churches when farmers needed to clear fields quickly for cash. The storage capabilities made them valuable for long-term planning in church pantries with uncertain future food supplies. Turnips could be stored in cool, dark areas for months without refrigeration, providing vegetable supplies that would last through winter months when fresh produce was unavailable. A box of gelatin cost 12 cents and created desserts that looked fancy despite costing almost nothing. Gelatin with canned fruit became molded salad. Gelatin with juice became dessert. That ability to look impressive while being cheap made gelatin perfect for church dinners. When the community gathered when you wanted to show that the church still functioned, gelatin delivered. It said, "We're maintaining standards even when you weren't." The visual impact created illusion of abundance and sophistication that was valuable beyond actual food value. Molded gelatin salads and desserts looked elaborate and festive, providing visual appeal that transformed simple church suppers into events that felt special and celebratory. The preparation techniques required understanding of ratios, temperatures, and timing that separated successful church cooks from those who created disappointing results. Church ladies learned to dissolve gelatin properly, control temperatures during setting, and create attractive presentations that maximized visual impact. A case of canned beets cost $1 for 24 cans, barely 4 cents each, and nobody wanted them. Nobody requested them. But church ladies bought them anyway because beets did something no other cheap food could do. They added color to plates that were otherwise beige. Boiled potatoes, beige. Bread, beige. Beans, beige. Everything was monotonous, uninspiring, the same depressing color. Food that looks depressing tastes more depressing. Food that looks appealing tastes better even when ingredients are identical. A box of cornstarch cost 10 cents and thickened everything. Thin soup became thick soup. Watery gravy became real gravy. Fruit juice became pudding. That thickening power made small amounts of food seem like more, and seeming like more mattered when there was never enough. Cornstarch was illusion in a box, the illusion of abundance that church ladies used to maintain dignity. A case of canned spinach cost $1 for 24 cans. Children hated it. Church ladies served it anyway. Why? Because spinach provided iron that prevented anemia. That medical necessity trumped complaints. Church ladies would drain the spinach, chop it fine, mix it with eggs or cheese if available. That mixing disguised the taste enough that children would eat it, and eating it kept them healthy enough to survive. The nutritional imperative behind spinach service revealed how church ladies prioritized long-term health over short-term preferences. They understood that iron deficiency would create weakness, illness, and inability to work, consequences far more serious than children's complaints about taste. The preparation techniques focused on methods that made it palatable while preserving nutritional value. Sorghum syrup cost 20 cents a jar and provided sweetness cheaper than molasses or sugar. Church ladies drizzled it over biscuits, mixed it into oatmeal, used it in baking. Sorghum had distinctive flavor, slightly sour, less sweet than molasses. Some loved it, some tolerated it. Everyone used it because it was affordable. That affordability trumped preference every time. And church ladies understood that sweetness, however it came, made hard lives slightly more bearable. The regional availability connected church kitchens to local agricultural systems that could provide sweetening at costs lower than commercial sugar or imported molasses. Sorghum was grown locally in many areas, making it accessible when other sweeteners were prohibitively expensive. A bag of pearl barley cost 12 cents and stretched soup further than anything else. Barley absorbed liquid and swelled, making thin soup thick. That thickening ability made it essential, but barley also provided texture that made soup more interesting, more filling, more satisfying. That psychological satisfaction was worth 12 cents. Church ladies knew that satisfaction kept people coming back, kept community connected, kept hope alive. Canned sardines cost 15 cents and provided protein that stretched further than meat. One can on crackers made snacks for 20 people at church meetings. Sardines mixed with potatoes became fish cakes for Saturday breakfast fundraisers. The strong flavor meant a little went a long way. But sardines were controversial. Some loved them, others refused them. Church ladies served them anyway because 15 cents worth of protein was 15 cents worth of survival. A large box of baking soda cost 8 cents and had 30 uses: baking, cleaning, deodorizing, medicine. That multipurpose value made it essential for church kitchens. One box did everything. 8 cents bought versatility that no other product could match, and versatility was survival when church budgets couldn't afford specialized products for specialized tasks. The cleaning applications enabled church kitchens to maintain sanitary conditions without expensive commercial cleaners. Baking soda could clean surfaces, remove odors, scrub pots and pans, and sanitize cutting boards. This versatility made 8 cents provide cleaning supplies for months of kitchen operation. A large tin of cinnamon cost 15 cents and lasted 3 years in church pantries. Cinnamon in oatmeal made it worth eating. Cinnamon on toast made it feel special. Cinnamon in simple cakes made them taste like something from a bakery. That flavor enhancement was worth 15 cents, spread over 3 years. Small investments, enormous returns. Church ladies understood that sometimes the smallest additions, a pinch of spice, a hint of warmth, make the biggest difference in whether people feel cared for or just fed. The mathematics of cinnamon made it one of the best investments a church could make. Compare it to sugar. 15 cents bought 3 pounds of sugar, lasting maybe 2 weeks. 15 cents of cinnamon lasted 3 years. That return on investment was extraordinary. Church ladies bought cinnamon even when other spices were impossible because cinnamon transformed food from obligation into care. A tin of cocoa powder cost 30 cents and made chocolate possible when chocolate bars were impossible. Cocoa in cakes for fundraiser bake sales, cocoa in cookies for Sunday school treats, cocoa mixed with hot milk for winter gatherings. That tin represented small luxuries that kept morale up. Children who got cocoa felt valued. Church ladies who provided cocoa felt capable. That emotional value was worth every penny. The luxury associations made cocoa powder valuable beyond its nutritional content. During times when luxuries were impossible, cocoa provided taste of indulgence that reminded people of better times while providing hope that such times might return. This psychological value justified the 30-cent expense. The versatility enabled creation of various chocolate-flavored foods that could adapt to available ingredients and occasions. Cocoa could create cakes for fundraising, cookies for children's treats, and hot drinks for winter comfort. This flexibility maximized the value of each 30-cent tin, from shortening that lasted 6 weeks to cinnamon that lasted 3 years, from beets that added color to lives drained of brightness, to cocoa that made children feel valued. These 15 foods prove that church ladies understood something profound. Survival isn't just about staying alive. It's about maintaining dignity, hope, and the will to keep going. Only 5 foods left, and these final items reveal the ultimate truth about these remarkable women. Only 5 foods left. These are the ones that prove church ladies understood something modern America has forgotten, that community survives on more than just calories. A box of dried prunes cost 18 cents and provided fruit year-round. But prunes weren't about fruit. They were about keeping elderly church members functional. Depression diets caused severe constipation. Prunes prevented that. Church ladies would stew prunes and serve them to elderly members discreetly. That quiet care, that attention to dignity, was what separated church ladies from people just doing charity. They understood that survival included maintaining bodily function without shame. The medicinal properties made them essential for addressing health problems that were common during depression, but rarely discussed openly. Church ladies understood that constipation was a serious health issue that could lead to more severe problems, making prunes valuable investment in community health maintenance. The discreet service revealed sophisticated understanding of human dignity and social dynamics. Rather than announcing medical purposes, they served prunes as regular fruit, allowing elderly members to maintain dignity while receiving necessary health support. A box of bouillon cubes cost 15 cents and created broth without bones. 1 cube in hot water became soup base instantly. That speed saved time and fuel when both were scarce. But bouillon cubes did something else. They made water taste like food. When donations ran out and actual food was impossible, church ladies could serve bouillon broth. It wasn't nutritious, it wasn't filling, but it was hot. It was savory. It was something to gather around, and gathering mattered more than the food. The emergency applications made them essential for church pantries that served as community crisis response centers. When food supplies were completely exhausted, bouillon cubes could create the appearance and ritual of meals, providing psychological comfort during the most desperate times. The community building function revealed how church ladies understood that feeding people was about more than nutrition, the act of coming together, of sharing something warm, of maintaining meal rituals, these preserved social bonds that held communities together during times that could have destroyed them. A case of canned peaches cost $2 for 24 cans, 8 cents per can, most expensive item on this list. Church ladies saved for months to buy peaches for Christmas dinner, peaches as dessert, peaches in cobbler, peaches served in their own syrup as treats. That ability to create celebration with canned fruit meant church ladies could mark time, could maintain traditions, could prove that poverty didn't erase every joy. The luxury status made them valuable for maintaining traditions and celebrations that provided psychological anchors during chaotic times. Christmas dinner with peaches proved that some traditions could survive, that joy was still possible, that community could still celebrate together despite hardship. The seasonal saving required for peach purchases demonstrated the long-term planning and sacrifice that church ladies made to maintain community morale. A bar of baking chocolate cost 25 cents and was the most expensive single item church ladies bought, but they saved for it anyway because chocolate mattered. Real chocolate, not cocoa powder. Actual chocolate that could be melted, mixed into cakes, turned into frosting for celebration cakes. That bar represented something essential that had nothing to do with nutrition. It represented the church's commitment to marking life's important moments, even during the worst times. Birthday cakes that tasted like birthdays should taste. Wedding cakes when young couples married despite poverty. Funeral cakes when the community gathered to mourn. That chocolate proved that some things were worth the sacrifice. Church ladies would guard that bar of chocolate like it was gold. It was kept in the locked pantry alongside the sugar. Only used for true celebrations, never wasted, always meaningful. When a church lady melted that chocolate and made frosting for a child's birthday cake, she was doing more than baking. She was preserving childhood, maintaining normalcy, proving that love could still be sweet even when life was bitter. The symbolic value transcended its culinary applications, representing the church's commitment to maintaining life's celebrations and rituals despite economic hardship. Chocolate enabled the creation of special foods that marked important moments and preserved community traditions. The celebration-enabling function allowed church ladies to create foods that transformed ordinary gatherings into special occasions. Birthday cakes with chocolate frosting, wedding cakes with chocolate layers, funeral cakes that provided comfort. These foods marked life's passages and maintained community bonds. The childhood-preserving aspect provided normalcy for children whose lives had been disrupted by economic hardship. A chocolate birthday cake proved that childhood celebrations could continue, that some joys survived, that children were still valued and loved despite difficult circumstances. This is the last food, the one that closes the circle. Because baking chocolate, like all 50 items on this list, proves something important. Church ladies weren't just feeding people. They were saving communities. They were maintaining dignity. They were preserving humanity during times that stripped away almost everything else. Which of these 50 foods did your church basement stock? Comment the food name and your state. I'm mapping where these Depression-era pantry traditions held communities together through the 1930s. If you made it through all 50 foods, you understand that church ladies were the unsung heroes of the Depression. They weren't just volunteers. They were strategic planners, logistics experts, and community organizers who turned 10 cents worth of Navy beans into meals for 30 people. They transformed one chicken with rice into dinner for 40 families. They saved bacon grease like liquid gold and knew that a pinch of cinnamon could make oatmeal taste like hope. These women mastered the mathematics of survival, stretching $20 into feeding 100 people weekly. They understood color psychology, adding bright red beets to combat monotonous beige plates. They created abundance illusions with cornstarch and gelatin, making little seem like plenty. When donations ran out, they served bouillon broth, not nutritious, but hot and communal, proving that gathering mattered more than the food itself. Their networks rivaled modern supply chains. They coordinated bulk purchases, rotated inventory first in, first out, bartered with farmers, and pooled resources across congregations, all without computers, just determination and faith. That jar of saved bacon grease represented their core philosophy. Waste nothing, value everything, make every donation count. Subscribe for more Depression-era history. Next video covers how church ladies built underground food networks that kept entire towns from starving when banks failed. From church basements to yours, don't let them forget what our church ladies survived and saved.